I used to think boredom was harmless in trading, like it was just dead time between real moments. Then I looked at a month where I took 94 trades, and 38 of them happened in the last hour of my session, when nothing was there. Not because the setup was clean, because I couldn't stand the quiet. Those 38 trades didn't just lose money, they trained my fingers to betray my plan. And if you're honest, you already know what that feels like. By the end of this, you'll understand exactly how boredom turns you into your own worst execution problem and how to build a simple system that protects you from it. The enemy isn't the market, it's that restless, itchy part of you that needs stimulation, needs action, needs to feel like you're doing something. I'm going to show you how I stopped feeding that part of me and how you can stop letting boredom push you into terrible trades. Boredom in trading isn't nothing, it's a craving. It's your brain staring at a flat screen and whispering, "This can't be it." You didn't sit here for 2 hours to do nothing. Click something. The market doesn't reward effort, it rewards alignment. And boredom hates alignment because alignment is mostly waiting. Here's the mechanism in plain human language. When the chart is slow, your brain starts scanning for entertainment, not opportunity. The same way you pick up your phone when you're standing in a line. You don't do it because it's useful. You do it because you can't tolerate the emptiness, so you start manufacturing reasons. You see a tiny wick and call it rejection. You see one green candle and call it momentum. You draw a line, then you move it so it fits the story you want to believe. Then you take the trade, not because your system said yes, but because your nervous system said please. And the market punishes patterns, not intentions. It doesn't care that you were just trying to stay engaged. It only responds to what you did. Boredom leads to overtrading. Overtrading leads to sloppy risk. Sloppy risk leads to emotional damage. Emotional damage leads to more boredom trades because now you're trying to get back to feeling normal. That loop is vicious because it feels so innocent at the start. It's not revenge trading. It's not panic. It's not even fear. It's just itch. And that itch will move your stop. It will make you skip the next real entry because you're already down from nonsense. It will make you double risk because you're tired of small wins. It will make you cut winners early because waiting for the target feels like watching paint dry. It will make you hold losers because closing them means admitting you clicked for entertainment. I lived in that loop for a long time. Months where my strategy was fine on paper and my results were trash in reality. I'd backtest and feel smart. Then I'd trade live and feel possessed. I'd have a rule that said 2 trades max in the first 2 hours. Then by 11:30, I'd be on trade 6, staring at my P&L like it owed me an apology. I kept telling myself it was market conditions. It wasn't. It was my identity trying to protect itself. Because if I sat there and did nothing, I felt useless. If I followed my plan and didn't trade, I felt like I wasn't a trader. So I traded to prove that I was. That's identity protection. Your old self doesn't want you to become the kind of person who can wait. Waiting feels like weakness to the old you. It feels like you're falling behind. It feels like you're missing out. The old you wants action because action is familiar, even if it's wrong action. I remember one week that finally made it obvious. Monday and Tuesday were clean. I took 3 trades total. 2 winners, 1 small loser. Nothing heroic, just execution. Wednesday was slow, the kind of day where price moves like it's underwater. I took 1 decent trade early, made a small profit, and then there was nothing. That's when the boredom started talking. I stared at the chart like I could force it to give me a setup. I felt a weird pressure in my chest, like I was being held back. My eyes started doing that thing where they zoom in, searching for any excuse. I told myself, maybe it's forming a base. Maybe this is accumulation. Maybe the breakout is coming. My hand hovered over the mouse. I clicked. Instantly, the trade went nowhere. Chop, wiggle, spread chewing at me. I started adjusting my stop because I didn't want to get wicked out. Then it popped down, tagged me, and reversed. Classic. I felt heat in my face. Not rage, embarrassment. So I clicked again. That's the thing about boredom trades. They don't feel dangerous until they turn into revenge. That day ended with 5 trades, 3 of them completely forced, and I finished red on a day that was basically a gift. When I looked back at the executions, I realized something that hurt more than the loss. My bad trades had nothing to do with not knowing. They were about not tolerating. I wasn't losing because I couldn't read the market. I was losing because I couldn't sit still. That night, I opened my journal and wrote a sentence that changed how I trade. I wrote, "What feeling am I trying to escape right now?" That was the turning point. Not because it was profound, because it was honest. I wasn't chasing setups. I was running from boredom. The next week I made 1 concrete shift, 1 constraint, 1 rule that forced reality back into the room. I capped my day at 3 trades, no matter what. Not 3 winners, not 3 good tries, 3 clicks, period. And if I hit 3, I was done, even if the perfect setup came later. That rule sounds painful, and it was, but that pain was the point, because it exposed how much of my clicking was just emotional noise. The first day I hit my third trade by 10:15. Two were fine. One was a boredom trade I could feel as I placed it. My stomach dropped when I realized, that's it, I'm done. I sat there, watching the market for another hour, and I felt like an addict with the bottle across the room. I wanted to break the rule so badly that my brain started negotiating. Just one more, just a small one, just a scalp, just to stay sharp. That's identity protection again. Old self bargaining for control. I didn't take it. And something weird happened. The urge peaked, and then it fell, like a wave that can only knock you over if you keep stepping into it. After a few days, my brain stopped expecting constant stimulation. The chart became quieter, and I became calmer. My results didn't explode upward. They stabilized. My execution got clean enough that my strategy finally had room to work. Because the real edge wasn't a new indicator. It was removing the trades I never should have taken. Let me make this painfully relatable. Scenario 1 is the classic loss spiral, but boredom is the match that lights it. You take a normal loss. It's within plan. 1R, done. But there's a gap afterward. The chart is slow. Your mind starts replaying the loss. You feel your shoulders tense. You start leaning toward the screen like you can intimidate it. Your inner voice gets sharp. You missed it. You were late. You should have sized up. You should have waited for confirmation. You should have... And then the boredom kicks in, because now you're sitting in discomfort with nothing to do. So you look for a trade to change the feeling. You see a small pullback and tell yourself it's another chance. You enter early, because waiting for confirmation feels like waiting for relief. Price flickers against you, and you feel a jolt in your gut. You move the stop just a little, because you don't want to be wrong twice. Then it flushes harder, and you freeze. Now you're holding a loser you never planned to hold, staring at it like you can will it back. You close it late, disgusted. Then you click again, because the worst part isn't the money. It's the feeling that you lost control. That's the revenge spiral, and boredom is the doorway. Scenario 2 is more sneaky. You have a win streak. 3 wins. 4 wins. You feel smooth. Then the market goes quiet, and the quiet feels insulting. You start feeling bored, but it's not sleepy boredom, it's restless confidence. You think, I'm seeing it so well right now. I can make something out of this. You take a mediocre setup and it wins. That's the trap, because now boredom has proof. It says, see, you don't need to wait. You're hot. You start trading to stay entertained. You start sizing a little bigger because small wins feel bland. Then you take a loss, and it feels way heavier than it should, because it interrupts the identity you've been wearing all day. You feel pressure to get back to the streak, not for the money, for the story. And now your decisions aren't about the chart. They're about protecting the image of yourself as the trader who can't miss. Most people avoid this because it's uncomfortable to admit, but the market doesn't care who you think you are today. Scenario 3 is the one that hurts the most because it proves you actually know what to do. You see the setup. It's clean. Your plan says enter, but you hesitate. Your hand gets cold. Your jaw tightens. You feel your breathing get shallow. You think about the last time you took this setup and it failed. You think about how boring it would be to take another loss. You think about how much better it would feel to wait for a better one. So you don't enter. Then it goes. You watch it move straight to target without you, like the market is laughing quietly. Now the boredom flips into frustration. Your mind says, you're an idiot, you're scared, you're missing money. So when the next uglier move happens, you jump in late. You buy the top of a candle because you can't stand being left out. Then it pulls back, tags your stop, and you feel that sour taste of self-sabotage. And the worst part is you can't even blame your system. You were the variable. All 3 scenarios are the same core problem. You're trying to regulate emotion with trades. Boredom is one of the most dangerous emotions for that, because it doesn't look like an emotion. It looks like nothing, but it's not nothing. It's uncertainty fatigue. That's the dopamine and variance piece. When you sit through chop, your brain is burning fuel with no reward, no progress, no resolution. So it starts hunting for dopamine anywhere it can find it. A new trade is dopamine. A new entry is dopamine. Even a new problem is dopamine. That's why some traders will take a bad trade just to feel something. Not because they're reckless, because their brain is tired. Uncertainty fatigue also shows up when you're in a trade that takes time. You enter correctly, and then it just sits. Your target is far. Your stop is in place. The right move is to let it work. But the longer it takes, the more your brain starts whispering, take the profit, Do something, lock it, control it, so you cut a winner early. Then the trade runs without you, and you feel bored and angry at the same time, which is a brutal mix. You start thinking, next time I'll hold, then next time comes, and you can't. Because boredom isn't a logic problem, it's a nervous system problem. And identity protection makes it worse. If your identity is, I'm active, I'm sharp, I'm always in it, then a quiet day feels like a threat. Your old self equates stillness with weakness. Your new self understands stillness is a weapon. Here's a sticky line I want you to remember. Boredom is the market testing if you can stay sober. Another one, you don't need more trades, you need fewer lies. Now let's make this practical, immediately, without turning it into a motivational speech. You need a method that catches boredom before it becomes a click. The first tool is a journaling prompt you will write before you trade, not after you blow up. Write this exact sentence at the top of your journal. Right now, I want to take a trade because I feel aus. Fill in the blank with one word. Bored, restless, proving, anxious, impatient, whatever is true. That one sentence forces you to name the real driver, because once you can name it, it loses some of its power. Then you build a pre-trade habit that's so simple you can't hide from it. Before you click, you say out loud, quietly if you need to, if this trade loses, will I still be proud of the entry? That's not a pep talk, that's a filter. Because boredom trades feel exciting before you enter and embarrassing after you lose. This question pulls the after feeling into the before moment. It slows you down, and boredom hates being slowed down. Now the damage constraint. Pick one that matches your behavior, but it has to be real and measurable. For me, it was max 3 trades a day. For you, it might be max 2 losses per day, or a 10-minute cooling off after any loss. The point is not punishment. The point is to stop the spiral early, before boredom and frustration team up. Imagine you take a loss, and you're allowed to immediately click again. That's gasoline. Now imagine you take a loss, and a rule forces you to stand up, leave the screen, and breathe for 10 minutes. That's not weakness. That's containment. And containment is what lets your edge survive a bad moment. Then comes the post-trade review habit, because this is where boredom gets exposed. After each trade, you record one metric that matters more than P&L, rule break rate, not a vibe, a number. Was that trade fully within plan, yes or no? If no, it counts as a rule break. Then you add an emotional score from 1 to 10 at entry. 1 is calm, 10 is vibrating. You'll start seeing a pattern that's almost insulting in its clarity. Your worst trades will have the highest emotional scores and the most rule breaks, and a lot of those will come from boredom, not fear. You can also track time in trade because boredom makes you exit early. If your average time in trade keeps shrinking, that's not adaptation, that's discomfort. Now let's do a simple math example, because this is where people fool themselves. Say you risk $100 per trade. 1R is $100. Your strategy, when executed clean, wins 40% of the time and makes 2R on winners. Over 10 trades, a normal outcome could look like 4 winners and 6 losers. 4 winners at 2R is 4 times $200, which is $800. 6 losers at 1R is 6 times $100, which is $600. $800 minus $600 is $200 profit over 10 trades. That's not fantasy, that's basic expectancy. Now here's what boredom does. It adds 2 extra trades that are not in your plan, and they're usually worse than normal, because you enter sloppy and manage emotional. Those 2 trades don't lose 1R. They often lose more, because you move stops or you hesitate to exit. Let's keep it simple and say each boredom trade loses 2R, because you widened the stop or re-entered late. That's 2 trades times $200, which is $400. Now your $200 profit turns into a $200 loss. Same strategy, same market, same you, different execution. That's the gap between theoretical perfection and real trading. Your edge isn't just what you do when you're disciplined. Your edge is whether you can stop yourself when you're bored, because boredom increases decision volume. More decisions means more fatigue. More fatigue means more mistakes. And the market doesn't care that you were tired. It only charges you for the mistake. So how do you actually change this? Not just understand it. You build a new identity, but you do it through behavior, not affirmations. You stop trying to be the trader who's always active. You become the trader who's always selective. Selective is boring. That's why it works. There were days after I added my trade cap where the market finally moved in the afternoon, and I couldn't take it. I watched a perfect setup go without me. I felt that old itch rise like heat behind my ribs, and I did nothing. That moment did more for my trading than any win that week, because it told my nervous system, we don't chase stimulation anymore. We wait. We choose. And slowly the boredom started losing its grip. Not because I became a robot, because I stopped treating trading like entertainment. If you're using the market to feel alive, it will eventually make you feel stupid. That's another sticky line. Keep it. Now, a small but important layer. Boredom doesn't always mean the market is slow. Sometimes boredom means your standards are too low. If your plan is vague, your brain will fill the gaps with impulse. If your entry rules are soft, boredom will bend them. That's why the pre-trade question matters and why the journal sentence matters. They harden your reality. They turn maybe into no. And no is the most profitable word most traders never practice. So here's what I want you to do, starting now. For the next 30 trades, you are not trying to make more money. You are trying to reduce the number of trades you take for emotional reasons. Each day, before your first trade, write the sentence. Right now, I want to take a trade because I feel harmless. Each time you're about to click, ask yourself, if this trade loses, will I still be proud of the entry? Each time you close a trade, record yes or no for rule break and write your emotional score from 1 to 10 and add one constraint that forces space between impulse and action, either a hard max trades per day or a cooling off period after any loss. If you do this for 30 trades, you will learn something that most traders never learn because they're too busy clicking. You'll learn what boredom sounds like inside your head right before it steals from you. You'll learn the difference between patience and paralysis. You'll learn that your best trades feel almost quiet. And you'll learn that discipline isn't intensity. Discipline is the ability to sit in discomfort and not flinch. So the next time the chart is flat and your fingers start itching, don't ask the market to entertain you. Ask yourself if you're ready to become the kind of trader who doesn't need the thrill to execute. Because the moment you stop trading to feel something is the moment your trading finally starts to work.